everybody. Unfortunately, Ammon Johns isn't joining us today. He has a family emergency he has to take care of. I'm joined today by Ben Fisher and Kristin Drysdale. And welcome to the Mobile Getting edition of the Bogus Hangout, where we're going to be talking a little bit about whether or not it's important to make sure that you get mobile traffic to your website.
Whether or not it's important?
Whether or not you think it's important to get mobile traffic to your website.
It's a valid question. Yeah, it's a very valid question. I think mobile traffic's important. Yeah.
Well, yeah, a guy from the Wall Street Journal got in touch with me yesterday and was asking me about how important the changes was and what it signaled and why Google cared whether or not people were getting mobile traffic. So why does Google care?
That could actually open up a whole can of questions right there, and actually a little bit of history too, that kind of ties back into Google Plus. And basically, when Vic and Besbris got together back, in 2010, I think it was. I think I always get them mixed up, but I think it was like Vic was in charge of social and Dave was in charge of mobile, the Mobile 2.0 initiative and the Social Web initiative. And one of the reasons why Google Plus even came into being was because basically they saw the coming of mobile. They saw the coming of social, basically both of those things together. And they knew it was important back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, do you know what the current stats are on right now on mobile traffic?
No idea.
I think it's somewhere up like in the 86% range, something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't see that on my site. I see personally about 5%.
Yeah, it was a big, in the Webmasters forum a couple weeks ago, I remember it was a big amount. I was surprised.
I get about 10% of my traffic from mobile. From phones and tablets, yeah.
Mm-hmm. David Kutcher put out a really good Google Analytics dashboard, custom dashboard, that you just install it and it'll analyze, it just basically takes all your stats and shows you, okay, well, this is actually how you're going to be impacted by mobile. And just by looking at that, I mean, it's like, the real question I think that comes down to is, how important is mobile traffic? Well, I think it depends on what kind of business you are.
And it may be deceptive in some ways. If you think about it as being a florist, the type of site that you'd want to have a mobile business for, to think about people getting off planes, deciding they want to send flowers before they arrive. They might do that from their phone, from the back of the taxi.
Yeah, or they might buy it on the way out.
They might.
But yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, mobile is really important for, I think, local businesses. Using the plane analogy, it's like you're getting off the plane and, maybe you haven't booked your hotel room. Or maybe, more importantly, I think, that you're looking for driving directions on how to get to where you're going. I've got lots of clients that have local pages, and some hotels in particular, a couple in Mexico and some in LA, and the ones in Mexico actually really surprised me because we looked at their local stats after like just a couple months of being on G+, and we were seeing tons of traffic. I mean, literally about 80% of the queries were coming directly from the airport.
Kristin, you mentioned a couple of these Hangouts ago that you started out on the web on your phone rather than on a desktop computer?
Yep. Yeah. It was, well, not on Hangouts with my phone, but I just started like learning about the internet on my phone. Yeah, it was definitely Android first. Backwards, huh?
Did you do a lot of mobile navigation type searches, or?
Well, I was using it primarily for schoolwork, so I did a lot of like PDF documents and export to PDF and different things like that. Did a lot of work with like scholarly articles, so not a whole lot of mobile.
I think the interesting thing for is looking at the generations, right? Different generations. It's like, I started out, my first mobile phone was a big brick, had one of those. Then I got the cool Motorola flip phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I love this thing. Antenna sticking out to here.
Gives it the little charm to go on the antenna.
Yeah, that thing was like a brick too. I mean, that thing was like that big.
I went out and got a mobile phone after my car broke down on the side of the road, and I needed to call somebody, and I had no change to put in a phone machine.
Yeah, and how many like phone booths do they have like on the highways now? Not as many as they used to.
You would be sorely pressed that actually that would be an awesome Easter egg hunt, is just to find how many phone booths there are in a city. Like in Phoenix, I can tell you, it's like I can name maybe 3 places where I know there is a phone booth.
I know there's still one like on the coffee plantation corner, like Mill Avenue and like 5th Street or something like that. It's like it's right by ASU. I know there's still one there.
Hi, Terry.
I Bill, thought I'd keep you company since Ammon wasn't here, but Ben beat me to it.
Oh, the more the
Welcome
merrier.
to the party, man.
Mobile getting
doing this. And
See, there's a business idea though. Just take your cell phone, put it in a nice little protected area, and charge people to use your cell phone. They can do mobile, surfing right from the street. Sure, why not? Yeah, that wouldn't work.
You have to have like a really good, security, because people just like crack the heck out of that.
Yeah.
So, Terry, are you dealing with a lot of clients today who developed a sudden interest in mobile traffic?
No, my clients were all good, Bill.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was worried about it for a while, so I changed some sites over beforehand.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have a lot of clients, so not a lot of work that way. And I don't make work like that, right? Yeah. Like if only 10% of a client's site was getting mobile traffic, right? Then, unless they have a lot of budget, there's better places to spend your money.
Yeah. Well, and you got to look at Google's overall, I think, goal when it comes to mobile. They want the user experience to be great, number one. The same thing, they have a security initiative, right? So they want people to go with SSL certs. I think that the interesting thing is this year is, historically Google's always been tight-lipped about any kind of update, any kind of bump, anything that's going to give you any kind of gratification as a webmaster for more traffic. And they're, of course, secretive about the algorithm entirely.
Yeah.
And to be able to just in this past 6 months, to be able to come out and give us 2 things and say, these are going to help you in search. That must mean that there's a huge bottom line incentive just for Google to be able to get and basically manipulate webmasters into making a change. And I think it's also another thing, and that kind of leads into what you were just talking about there, is adoption rate is fear. There's a lot of misinformation that's going out about the whole mobile update. And that's why people are calling it Mobilegeddon. It's like, oh no, I'm going to lose all this ranking. I'm going to die. My business is going to go under. BS.
I have a saying, SEOs never miss an opportunity to sell a service.
That's exactly. But I mean, I've got
it's a ranking factor, all of it. Like, this is why you like the transparency. I yearn for the days when they treated us like mushrooms, because I could thrive in that atmosphere, right?
So meaning you could sell more services based.
I don't need to tell them, and I especially don't need them to tell me how to build a website. Be doing that for 20 years, And they've also told us not to build websites for search engines. So, you know, which is it, buddy? Pick one. Either one, but stick to it.
Google
Bill's
does.
laughing.
They do seem to be doing more and more of whatever they can to get people to add things like schema markup that'll show rich snippets.
Yep.
And
The
it seems
breadcrumb trails.
a good thing to include for local sites to make it more likely that you're going to get the right information and tracked and you know, you type the name of my business in and then type the word phone, and Google does a little answer box where they show my phone number. You know, and that's probably because of the fact that I have the schema markup on my pages that lets you do that. It's nice having the ability to add things like that. And makes it.
You see it in the SERPs too. Like I added an offer, and now in that product, the price is below it. Which, since we're one of the cheaper places, no, I don't mind. It was you know, good deal. I'm just getting into the schema, Bill, but to me it's like let me say, I once again am kind of inspired to do SEO again. Like it seems like what I'm doing is not just making content for the sake of content. When I'm doing something, I know it's actually enhancing for the search engine, not just trying to, you know, screw with it. Which, you know, never been a problem for me, but I don't like to manipulate with links. So give me another way to do it other than by links, and hey, I'm inspired again, right?
Right, and the schema markup enables you to have some certainty in that something like your offer might show up, or my phone number might show up in search results, rather than wishful thinking that, hey, I include it in the content of the page, it might show up.
You know, but the thing about schema markup, that's the bad side of it, I think, is going to be the adoption rate. You know, just like how we had authorship. The adoption rate of authorship was very low, so they killed it.
Google's Ramanathan Guha published a report a couple of years ago at the Semantic Technology and Business Conference, where he showed how vast the adoption rate has been for schema, and a lot of people have added it to their sites.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you go to some sites like Yelp or an Airbnb, they've added a lot of schema. You don't necessarily see it when you go to those sites because it's not necessarily visible. But if you use the Chrome browser, you can add extensions that'll pop up in your address bar that'll tell you whether or not there's metadata available to view on a page. And if you click on that, it'll show you what the metadata is. And that's worth any SEO who does SEO doing.
It's almost like when you could, not a lot of people look at it, but you could always look and see the properties of a page as well, right? From the browser. You know, only nerds like us look at that stuff. But it's there, and search engines and everyone use that.
When I first started building web pages, I would look at the source code for every page and try to get ideas from it. You know, what I like, what I don't like. So if I wanted to tweak features, I'd have some idea how to do that. And doing the schema, understanding schema is really interesting and helpful.
As a programmer, I really see it all the time. The opportunities to use it, when at that level, it's very simple to do it across the site. Like, I'm not a big fan of plugins. Like, I think if I were going to do it, I would do it on a WordPress blog site using. I'd hack the code. I wouldn't try and use a plugin. I haven't seen a really good plugin for anything.
Yeah, no, I think Yoast is probably the closest cousin to it.
And there are people like Mike Arneson who came out with a method of that shows using the Google Tag Manager.
Yeah.
And putting JSON LD in that to add markup to sites. There are other tag manager programs, but you can do that with too.
Yeah, you can also, especially with XML and other stuff like that, it's very simple to program that stuff. Like, just starting to get into it now. First, I want to understand how the schema structure works, which I'm still, putting it together in my head. Like,
the one thing that I don't like about schema is that, okay, so you can, like, for instance, of course, you can go into Webmaster Tools and you can try to apply the quick tags, to mark up things, right? And just kind of do like a lookalike as same as, right? Horrible, doesn't work. I have a personal video game website that I run, and we don't conform to how all other gaming sites do their star rating system. So we don't do a 1 through 10 or 1 through 5 or anything like that. We have a buy it, try it, or skip it option. And because we found that our readers really love that, they're making a decision to buy something that's under 15 bucks. It's like, tell me, buy it, try it, skip it. But that cannot be translated into schema, unfortunately, at this point. That's the one thing that frustrates me.
Interesting.
I just started getting into this like last week, and I got the option to use the new tag manager, and so I've got that. Like, I signed up for it, but you don't get it automatically. It takes like a few days. I don't know.
Beware.
A few days. That's totally bogus.
I know, it's like, I want it now. In a few days I'm gonna forget about this and I'm gonna be moving on to something else that I'm trying to learn.
I'd be kind of wary of anything that's that tightly controlled by Google. That means that's one of those products that once you get using it could be useless a year or two down the road. So don't become too dependent on them.
I gotta ask you, Terry. Okay, so here's a question for you, Bill, too, or Krista, maybe. With a knowledge graph. Okay, so in your experience, how long has it taken for the knowledge graph to actually populate in Google search after putting it onto a mid-tier popular website's homepage, as far as the organization data, the logo data, and also the social links?
6
I've
weeks.
seen it show up pretty.
Knowledge panels show up?
Yep. From
Okay,
0 to
I
something.
just did a brand new site where I redesigned the site and I added that offer with the $sign. It was there within days of when I added it.
Days? Really?
Yeah. The authority on the site for the
Interesting.
it has a bit of authority in the space as well.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because, like, this site that I'm telling you about, still talking about actually the video game website, has been around for 10 years and is a constant source of information to every single major gaming outlet, and is also backed by Microsoft. Put the markup on it a week ago, still hasn't shown up.
Is it in Freebase? Is it in Wikipedia?
Yes and no. It's not in Freebase. I don't believe we're in Wikipedia. I'd have to check.
Not in either one of those, the site I've been dealing with.
Yeah.
I found too when I added the there's another part of the website that is a type of location page that it showed up there really fast as well for those. But I test it. You don't find mistakes in it. I think that's the thing. Like, for instance, if you put something that isn't, I think that type isn't, okay. I think they put more stock in something that was done by hand than something that's done with their data highlighter and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
Or bloated code. I mean.
Yeah, my code's, I'm a stingy bastard. When it comes to the code, like, I'm nuts. You know, it's got to look like, let's say if you looked at it, I want you to say, oh, the code is beautiful. You know? That's why DMS, their code is all looks like, you know, a dog's breakfast.
Have you guys used brackets? Or heard of it?
Bracket. Sounds familiar, but
it's an Adobe product.
That's for sure.
Give us the highlights.
Oh, I can't. That's why I was going to ask you guys about it. I'm in the learning stage, Ben. I'm getting all my resources. I know nothing yet.
I have not heard of bracket.
Okay.
I have a question for Bill. Have you looked at Schema Lite?
Schema Lite?
Yeah. That's like, you don't have to, it's a short form of the code. I'm pretty sure I found it from a link from you.
I'm not familiar with that phrase.
Okay, maybe that's one I made up myself.
No, well, I know we didn't make it up.
Compartmentalizing stuff, so.
I know you didn't make up Schema Lite because I know that term.
Oh, okay. So I was right in. You don't have to use all the item properties and scope and all that. It's a bit like there's an RDFA Lite as well, right? Kind of the same idea, I believe.
I don't know that one.
I've been looking at all these things for a while. Actually, thinking about doing a show on semantic web and digging deeper.
What do y'all think about the new rich snippet testing tool?
Oh.
There's a new one?
Well, the one that they released, just a couple weeks ago? A month ago or something.
A testing tool?
What's that?
Fetches and renders?
Yeah, the rich snippet testing tool, which basically, no, not how it mobile renders, but which actually shows you what all of the proper schema tags that you have in place on your site. Like, it shows you the organization and such.
It gives you the code on one side, Bill, and then a breakdown of your schema on the page, or your RDFA on the page, and shows you how the code looks to them, basically.
And it says,
you also have your code to look at and see, okay, how can I do this? How can I improve this, right? Because where I've seen people having some problems with schema is how you nest, say, product and offer and stuff like that, right? It makes it a lot easier to see that, for instance, on organization, I didn't realize it till I was going through it, that there's also an item prop in organization for address, that you attach that to your postal scheme, and it kind of compresses the two into one. Like, it really neat way to see how you're...
it shows you all the errors too, Terry.
I don't have errors in my...
but like, for instance, we were talking about plugins earlier, right? So again, back to the gaming site, we use some plugins for talking about our authors and the reviews and things we're doing. And I noticed that inside of there, so I run it through the tool, I'm testing out my org data and all like that, and it's like, check mark, all good. Actually, that's what it says, all good.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, talking my language. But then I saw warnings, so I was like, warnings? Well, I can't have anything wrong on here. No way. I've got killer plugins.
How many?
No, 16 warnings. I'm like, oh, I've got to go fix that.
Ben, that's also why I think you might have trouble having them pick them up, because your code has warnings in it, right? Not saying that you would make it live like that, but I'm pretty sure the warnings also tells them how much trust to put in it.
I agree with that, yeah.
You know?
Well, and if you have 16 warnings about plugins, like, don't you have too many plugins?
Oh, no. It's like 16 warnings about the article props, basically. But, yeah. It's just it's an empty.
You could make one error that causes 16 warnings.
It's an empty field. Empty field. It's harmless.
It's just like the old lint programs for HTML, you know. You leave one thing out and all of a sudden you got 1,000 errors.
See, that's what happens when you have just a little bit of information. You can be dangerous.
But yeah, I mean, back to mobile getting real quick, right? I think the thing that the message that really needs to be put out there, and to Google's credit, they put out a nice FAQ today. John Mueller did.
Yeah.
And it answered a lot of questions. Because my clients, all of this, God, for the past month, have been coming to me, even though we do like Google Plus management and social media, right? I'm known for SEO since I've been doing it since the 90s. And but they're all coming and going, oh yeah, we're having to move our budgets around, we're having to do this, we gotta go to site mobile friendly, you know, otherwise we're gonna get dropped from the index completely.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, no.
It's page by page.
Right, and it only affects mobile.
Even then, if you're Ford, right, you don't have to worry about not being mobile friendly. You're gonna be there. Because otherwise, Google looks like they have half an inch.
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't need to worry so much and that everybody needed to stop freaking out when Moz was like, we're not going to make the switch until afterward because they want to use themselves as a case study. So I was like, okay, no one's going anywhere. Moz is not doing this. Then we could calm down.
Pretty much.
Well, they probably already knew they were mobile friendly.
No, they weren't.
No.
They knew they weren't.
Not at all. They look good on a tablet and desktop. Not on a phone.
I have an alarm that goes off whenever I click a link that's going. Says, hey, stupid, look where this is going.
Exactly in that voice too, bro.
That's the other thing. You go in with a closed mind.
Closed mind, end up with an open one, or what?
Well, usually I have a pretty open mind about things, but when it comes there, yeah, not much point.
Well, I wanted to ask a question about YouTube, if you guys don't mind. So I have a friend that is watching right now, and we were looking at YouTube today, and we were trying to figure out, like, if you have just your personal YouTube page, can you add someone as a manager to it?
From your personal Google Plus page?
No, right?
No.
Okay.
Not on your personal profile.
And what are the advantages to having a business, like a business page?
Excuse me, Kristin. I believe if you connect your Google Plus personal page to Yahoo, excuse me, to a Yahoo account, then you could probably add an admin for the, because that's like a personal brand then, right?
Okay, so connect your personal profile to the, and I missed the word.
To YouTube. So you basically connect your your Google Plus page to your YouTube, right? You've created that relationship. That's how me and Dave fixed some things with the dojo when they started trying to, instead of it being the dojo, it was David Harry and, this, community.
Right, so you just created a brand page, basically, and connected that to your YouTube account.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you look at, like, Guy Kawasaki's page, for instance, it's a brand page, but it's actually a personal page as well.
Right.
So,
personal branding is a big thing these days, eh?
Yeah.
To really
personal branding has been a big thing since the 50s, I think. But yeah.
Now it's got quotes around the word, so it's more important.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think Albert Einstein and Tesla were doing back in those days? That was personal branding.
Inbound marketing. I remember when that was called. When you called it, an call center. That was inbound marketing.
Yeah.
So then, how do you do that? Like where? Oh no, I'm sorry. How do you do that? Yeah, it's like I just throw out that. I mean, how do you
do that?
How do you connect your personal profile to your YouTube? Because I thought it was already there. Because when you fill out your about page, it's already there. You already have.
Okay, right. So where it says videos in your personal page, right?
Mm-hmm.
You connect that to your. You basically pull in a YouTube video from your thing, and I think it asks you, is this your YouTube page?
And then is that where it says, like, this is your default? You choose it as your default account?
Right. It's a
so
way.
Then I should be able to add an admin.
Should be able to then, I would think.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I know a little bit about YouTube, too. I started doing that the day after Google bought it, actually.
Wow.
I started building my first page. Now that company has over 200,000 downloads, probably closer to 300 now.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Elaine. Welcome to the Hangout. Thank you for joining us.
Hey there.
Oh, it is. Hi, Ann. Long time.
What are you up to today? I think she's still setting up.
Not muted.
Maybe she's like, I'm not going to answer her.
Hey.
There we go.
Oh.
That's her concentration face. Or just watching you concentrate.
I'm turning off my others.
So did anyone catch the video that you shared of me yesterday? I know you did, Elaine.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, what was it?
Aphod is such a sweetie. She finds like the most embarrassing video that I have on my YouTube and shares it. I was like, Aphod! You were supposed to share my It's Time 2015 one.
Ego, what was her name again?
Clue Hauser.
True Hauser?
Clue Hauser.
Clue.
Yeah. Supposedly like the daughter of Huell Hauser. It's this character that I made up. But Huell Hauser was this man who he does California Adventures. I think that's the name of the show. But he went up and down the coast of California just interviewing people. And he always had his microphone. And so that's why I had my Mikey Hikey. But, yeah.
Well, I loved your accent. So as I said, I ought to host a hangout sometime where you just come into the hangout and you're not going to talk the way you usually talk. You're going to talk with a drawl, y'all.
Elaine, did you see the hangout that we did last year where we did a first hand-drawn illustration hangout explainer video. And it was me, Ronnie Binter, David Amerlin, Mark Traphagen, and we all came in and we were talking in Southern draws the entire time. We were going, yeah!
Oh my goodness.
So in this wellness practice that I do, laughter yoga, when you take a training, you always get a tidbit of learning how to do gibberish. So it's almost kind of like speaking in tongues. It's like you just pretend you're having a conversation with someone, only you do it in gibberish, and it's actually great if you want to try to get out your pent-up frustration about some circumstance or even another person. So instead of saying the real words, you just talk to them in gibberish. So, Kristin, right now I'm going to pretend I have a beef with you, okay? So, la, la da da ba boo, and a wah, and a goo, and a key.
Booyah, nah, mooah.
Can we just replace all of that with dude?
Oh, I love that. I love that. You know what, Ben? That was similar to when you take any like laughter word, like ha or he, and you just make all these variations on it, either in tempo or in pitch or whatever, and it's the same as like, dude. I love that. Thank you. And by the way, it's nice finally getting to have a conversation with you because actually this is a first. How you doing, Ben?
Nice to meet you in person. You get the virtual fist bump. There you go. But you know what? Dude doesn't only work. I think meow works too.
Meow.
You can speaking in cat tongues. That works too. I mean, have you ever tried to sing along to a song and do it with just meows?
I haven't, but that is an equally good one to do for health and wellness.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
I've had to do something similar like watermelon because like when you're on a stage and like you really didn't learn that song, you just paid attention to the steps, the choreography, and singing is not your thing, and so you're just singing watermelon, and it just it works.
If you really want to make people laugh, go to a karaoke bar and meow the entire song.
Are you speaking from personal experience, Ben?
Yes, I've done this before. I had the entire room laughing and singing along. It was so hilarious.
We're not that far. We need to make a meow night.
Yes. If you, Shan, and I got together and went out, we could totally mess with people's heads.
Oh my gosh. Let the selfies ensue.
We'd be all serious and get up there and do a Beatles song, except just do it all in meows.
So I'm going to jump in here and change the topic. So I'm really curious, since this is MFing Day, meaning Google wants us to be mobile friendly, and I use the word flock a lot. So on my show a little earlier, I said, well, it's also cultivating your mobile flock. Your Mobile Flockers Day. I'm curious whether anybody here has done any kind of checking on doing some searches to see if things you may have searched for last week on mobile might be different this week. Has anybody played with that? Yeah. What's going on in the stream today, actually, since the algorithm has hit?
I did one search earlier today. Actually, it was a search on the one that I got the knowledge graph entry for the how to get more Google Plus followers or how to grow more Google Plus followers. And I noticed that one of the pages, but I mean, this could be just a natural fluctuation. I've got the knowledge answer box entry, and then I've got 2 pages that from my blog that show up in the results for that. And I noticed one of them went up 1 position. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with the mobile, even though it is mobile friendly.
Yeah. Okay, but that was just an odd search.
Well, because if some people are coming down in searches, then that surely means other people are going up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually how it works.
Mm-hmm. It's basic principles.
Well, it just occurred to me, you know, on this whole topic, I started really looking at. So, what kind of things do I use search for when I'm using my smartphone? I search very differently on my phone than when I do behind my laptop. You know, entirely differently.
For different
But I would imagine for all the people who actually travel a lot and are, you know, looking for doctors in locales or looking to buy things in certain locales where they want to go and pick it up, or they want to find local services, those are among the areas where if you're a small business, you know.
Would you really look for a doctor on your cell phone, though?
No. Well, I don't know.
I have, well, I was looking for my doctor.
look for
That doesn't really count. What?
you're in a store, you're shopping.
Yeah.
You decide you might want to buy something.
Yeah.
Look up a product. Try to find reviews of it. Other prices.
I've always believed that, and had a hard time believing otherwise, that if people are at home, they're going to do stuff on the internet, on the desktop, unless A, they don't have a desktop, or, you know, they own a tablet. But for me, like the experience on a phone, other than if you're checking a social stream, is like a website is not built to be seen like that. That's my personal belief. You know,
Because I mean, you're usually not building a website on a phone, right?
right. But I think that's also the users too. You get mobile searches when people are looking for something that their destination or where can I get that around here. That's the kind of searches, and I would say a lot of those will soon be straight voice searches.
Oh yeah, the rise of the search voice, and we were kind of talking about generations earlier, right? We touched on that a little bit. The generations that are coming up now, you know, that are in their 20s, and they're definitely in their teens, are doing voice search extremely actively. And, you know, I mean, I think it's probably even higher. I read some kind of stat where the number of voice searches is going up exponentially.
Yeah, I would say that. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. Last thing I was going to say to that is that people are just getting more comfortable with the fact of standing in the middle of the mall and saying, "I'm looking for the best underwear."
Yeah.
You know, that'd be normally something you would probably want to type in.
They'll be in the form of a question. I definitely believe that's why on mobile, those answering SERPs and you know, the kind of knowledge graph stuff works perfectly, because that's the kind of stuff that people are looking for on mobile. It's again, you know, you gotta, I guess it's, well, you've been around a while too. We're used to, you know, the tactile feeling a website. I think a lot of the newer people around don't really look at things the same way that you or I or Bill would, having been here and not have the tools. We don't rely on them. I rely mostly on my own, what I see in a SERP, and that's usually more valuable than what I can get from a tool, like unless it's something like Link Prospector, where I'm looking to harvest the data that's in the search, which, then my intent is different as well.
I liked last week that Google announced that you could do a desktop search for your phone.
Oh,
Yes. That was a much needed thing, Bill.
Like to find where it is?
I'm wondering what other types of things. Yeah, it'll tell you
Yeah.
where your phone is. You can make your phone make an announcement as to where it is.
Yeah, it works just like the iCloud does for the iPhone and the iDevices. You have to type in "Where's my phone?" You have to do it with an apostrophe S. If you don't do the apostrophe, it doesn't work. But then it just automatically brings it up and it says, okay, and it authorizes your device first. But once it's authorized, now it'll show you within 35 meters, something like that.
I thought that you could always do that with Android Manager.
Yeah, you can always do it with Android Manager, really?
I mean, not looking for the iPhone, but.
Yeah. But the cool thing is it does. It brings it right up on Google Maps and shows you right inside of Google Search.
So if someone stole your phone, you can also know where they are.
That's right. You got it.
Send a gang.
So what's after phones?
Laptops.
Yeah.
Software is not going to be too happy, since that's what they do.
Does anybody have any predictions on what the next announcement would be for a ranking increase to come from Google? Because now we've got SSL, we've got mobile.
I don't know what's the next
YouTube.
agenda they want to do, because for me, SSL is all about selling stuff directly from the search. It's the sneak attack for monetizing the SERPs, because you have to. I keep the constant reminder of the one-click search. That's their ultimate goal, is that you never leave Google. So if you make every site secure, makes it awful easy for them to do sales right in the search. Especially when you consider they already have wallet and a bunch of other stuff to go with it, including a shopping cart that sells for about 25 grand.
Yeah, had that around for a while though, but yeah, I mean, I don't have any personal predictions for the rest of this year or anything new. I was just wondering if anybody else did.
I predict they're going to do something with YouTube.
Think they'll be doing something with YouTube?
I think it's going to come out like in June.
Set it free would be the good thing.
I can tell you this. I know this only because I had a Google rep when on the Google Plus side, is that I know that YouTube being connected to your brand page is actually a quality signal that they look at.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And you're right, YouTube, they just updated the annotations. So, and the subscriptions actually on YouTube as well, right?
Well, they're trying to hook the two as close together, like,
Yeah.
the comments from YouTube end up on, any post on
Right.
Google Plus. So, they're using the portable, I call it the salmon, because they actually started kind of doing that stuff with the salmon project.
What is the Salmon Project?
Oh, that's an old one. They ditched it, I believe, didn't they, Bill?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They always do all kinds of cool stuff if you're a developer, just, watching what they're doing. But it also tells you what motivates them. Because if they're doing research on something, and I'm sure Bill and Ben will agree, if they're researching it, that means there's a problem to be solved. And they're wondering if that's not the way to do it.
Well, that's the way Google has always pretty much operated. They've always operated at solving problems at scale. Problems that are going to solve a solution for a lot of people, and usually with the intent of impacting people's lives in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
It's a key phrase that Google uses a lot, at scale,
Mm-hmm.
at web scale. Can we solve this at web scale?
Well, not only web scale, if you think about it, though, Bill. I mean, they go down to the world level too, of course, right? Because
Right.
maps, driving cars, um, purchasing huge data center space and employing hundreds of people, So those are all kind of solving problems too.
Yeah, I think in 20 years, search will probably be a small part of its business. That's how I kind of.
Well, because they'll already have it all built.
Well, for one thing, mobile kind of cannibalize it some. Social's already started to do that. And there's only so much money you can squeeze out of the internet. If they want to grow, they have to do it outside, right? There's only so much search. They already own most of it, so what do you do with the $50 billion you got in the bank? You gotta invest it somewhere, and it's smart because they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. And if you look at it from the standpoint of like the artificial intelligence companies that they bought, that augments search some degree. The research that they're doing there, eh? So
well, that helps with semantic search definitely. But I wonder if they could implement having an app for your website or for your business as a ranking signal. Because recently they've made some moves where they're starting to show related apps. In mobile search, of course, they've been doing that for a while, but also in desktop search now too. And then you also have the capability for them to index any kind of data that's open that you opened up within apps.
Yeah, they're looking at following links from websites inside of apps, correct?
Right.
Bill? Did I not read that just recently that they're looking at that, and that's now they're hooking those two things up, kind of.
Right.
Oh yeah, the deep links. Remember we had that discussion.
Remember, deep links were links that you would create that went to pages that were deep within your website to try to get a search engine crawler to visit your pages and use that as another point of origination for it to index pages. And the idea that they're talking about deep links in apps now makes it easier to use an app to reserve a table at a restaurant and then to go immediately to an Uber program to get a driver to bring you and whomever to the restaurant.
Well, think if they enable the ability to jump from the desktop into a app, right?
Oh,
using a link. That's pretty incredible. As far as fixing a bad mobile presentation, right? You could have a link right into your app and say, "Here, use this."
Yeah.
What would be even nicer would be what would be even nicer is to be able to just swipe it from your desktop to your mobile device.
Yeah.
Which is possible. I mean,
Bluetooth, right?
Well, I mean, it could be done. I mean, if you look at, I forget the name of the project off the top of my head, but Microsoft just recently put out a video of a potential, wearable gadget 3D world, augmented reality world. And, I mean, that was part of that whole, that presentation you're wearing these glasses and it turns any surface basically into a computer.
Project, right.
What's that?
HoloLens.
HoloLens. Yeah. And
that's not that far off either, is it, Bill? I was reading about that that My brother was showing me that, just going mental. He's a Windows administrator. So
Right. So it's a product that they're already offering. Right.
Yeah.
it's part of Windows 10, correct? The new version coming out, you'll be able to almost put your desktop anywhere, is how I kind of understood it.
Yeah, Microsoft's challenge with that is going to be the same thing as it was with the Windows applications in general, and that is getting developers behind actually developing for it. I saw that technology at CES about 3-4 years ago.
They've been working on it for a long time. Is that when it was in like a desk and you could put your phone near it and transfer stuff from your phone onto the desk at
a restaurant? There was that. That was the original concept for Surface, but it was also the ability to take what you were doing, saying on the Surface, and then throw it up to a wall or bring it onto a watch or some other kind of device, basically moving data from place to place. The AR stuff, that's also been in our works. I mean, for quite a while.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the hour. I'd like to bounce this discussion to each individual in the group and tell us a little bit about what you might be doing during the next week. Sort of a lightning round. Ben?
What am I doing the next week? Let's see. I'm in the middle of doing a 10,000 push-up challenge. So I'm currently in cycle 2 of that.
Right.
And just still in the process of, it's the end of the month, so we're always at the end of the month, we bring on a lot of new clients. So whenever we have new clients, it increases all of our workloads. So just, keep busy.
Okay.
Good deal.
Elaine?
Well, there's a thing coming up on Sunday, May 3rd called World Laughter Day, and last year I got really bold and hosted 3 hangouts uniting all these laughter professionals and luminaries from all around the world for World Laughter Day, which had been celebrated by the founder of Laughter Yoga, Dr. Madan Kataria, for about 18 years. So I brought that live, and I just thought, can I do this? And I actually did it. So this year I'm going to do it again.
Vocations humor professionals?
No, laughter professionals. So laughter. I'm a holistic nurse, and I do hangouts. And so one of the health and wellness tools that I teach and share is this stuff called laughter yoga, and it's laughing intentionally as a health practice without using jokes, humor, or comedy. So I've done a couple hangouts on this topic in the last year on my Holy Shift show, and so I'm winding up gathering together people for 3 hangouts that I'm going to have on the 3rd of May. But next Tuesday's Holy Shift show is going to be kind of an introduction to, like, what is the practice? How do you do it? Why would you want to do it? God, I'm faking laughter, like. But it's an amazing practice, and when you think about it, laughter really is the universal human language, and babies laugh when they're like a month to 2 months old. And they laugh naturally just for this joy of being alive. And then as we go older, laughter becomes very conditional. So the practice kind of helps us get back in touch with, our ability and our capability to bring laughter to everything. And I'm going to be inviting people to join me for some practice of Webinar Jam, because I might be able to actually collect, some email addresses and also have my global reach for this, but I got to practice between now and Sunday with Webinar Jam to decide whether I'm actually going to do it with Webinar Jam. So if anybody wants to be a playmate, look, because I'll have some invites out there for some Webinar Jam stuff. It's different, like the comment tracker stuff is different. Anyway, looking for playmates. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian?
I'm busy like looking at all of EFOT's It's Time 2015 contestants. It's a conference that's going to be coming up, and it's really, really cool. The whole premise is like it's time to like make changes. And I think it's especially catered toward making changes to help women, have kind of like more equal rights. So just having fun checking out that hashtag and seeing what everyone's doing with it.
Sounds good. Terry, you have plans for next week?
Oh, same as usual. Making the web a better place, one site at a time.
What about you, Bill?
I'm gonna try to do the same. Make the world a little bit better place. Make the web a little bit better place as much as possible. And I'm going to rewrite some value propositions on my website. Trying to make them make more sense.
Web scale?
If possible, yeah.
Very cool.
Uh-huh. Imran?
I think he might be quiet. I gave him the link early.
He's muted. Okay.
Oops. Kristin, we should definitely try and hook that up over the next month or something like that.
Yeah, meow night.
Yes. Yeah, let's have a meow. Let's have a meow night.
Woohoo!
Invite
Thanks,
me.
everyone.
I'll come and meow.
Oh yeah.
Thank you all, everyone. Appreciate you coming and joining us. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you.
See y'all next time.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful time.
Meow.